Naruto is not a genius, and when I say that, I mean compared to the other geniuses in the franchise, Naruto does not stand out among them as a master on their level. I think it's fair to say that Naruto is smart and that Naruto is a well-accomplished shinobi, but when you look at people who were called genius, Naruto kind of misses the mark. This isn't going to be about power scaling, however, as no matter what ninja I put forward, by the end of the series, Naruto has surpassed them all in terms of power, to the point he could probably beat all of them just by himself. But when talking about the genius conversation, there are a few names that stand out among others: Minato, Kakashi, Itachi, Orochimaru, and Sasuke. What I wanted to do with this video is separate the word genius from just strong people. I think I've made myself pretty clear in terms of what the video is going to be about, so let's not waste any more time. I do discussion videos about Naruto like this often, so if you like that type of stuff, consider subscribing and leaving a like on the video. Even though I gave 5 examples of geniuses in the intro a moment ago, I'm really only going to talk about 3 of them. Minato is a given since Naruto is constantly compared to him throughout the series, alongside Kakashi, and just due to the nature of the storytelling, Naruto is obviously going to be compared to Sasuke. The first impressive thing Naruto does from a ninjutsu standpoint is use the multi-shadow clone jutsu all the way back in chapter 1, and he uses it to stomp Mizuki, who was a chunin at the time. Now, I don't plan on acting as if this isn't a good feat. Like I just said a moment ago, this is impressive. Naruto managed to learn a forbidden jutsu and actually win with it when he used it. The issue comes in when talking about why he was able to accomplish it. This was not done of smarts, it was done of a mental amp in combination with Naruto's large chakra pool, which is why Naruto cannot consistently pull out this many clones, and why Naruto, especially at this point, is not at the level of a chunin. To his credit, even the base Shadow Clone Jutsu is said to be a Jonin level technique, but that's likely not because of the difficulty. The problem with making Shadow Clones, and more than one at that, is the toll it takes on your chakra, and children do not have the developed chakra to pull off such a move. Similar to how Sasuke wasn't supposed to be able to use a fireball technique because his chakra wasn't developed enough. That's why when Naruto used the jutsu, Kotetsu says he's a quirky kid or interesting, not a genius. I brought it up before, but Kakashi's reaction to the fireball technique and Naruto's clone jutsu are night and day. You even have people like Jiraiya saying Naruto has no talent, and less credible to an extent, Neji as well. And although I think Neji's word came from a place of hurt, that doesn't make them not true. Next is Naruto's Rasengan. The argument here is that Naruto learned the Rasengan in a week when it took Minato 3 or 4 years to develop the jutsu. This is a pretty disingenuous way of looking at this situation overall, and there are several holes with this line of thinking. For one, Minato is inventing a jutsu from scratch. Naruto not only knows of the jutsu, he saw it demonstrated, and Jiraiya gave him a step-by-step tutorial for how to eventually reach the level of Rasengan, with the different balloons he had to pop. It's naturally easier to replicate something with the blueprint in hand to do it, and a tutorial on how to use it. On top of that, while Naruto did learn the Rasengan, he didn't master it, and I mean that in the sense that he was not as good at using it when he first got it as Minato was when he first got it. Naruto can't figure out how to do all the steps for the Rasengan himself, so he has a clone of himself handle part of it while he handles the rest, and that makes a Rasengan. In other words, Naruto needs a shadow clone to use the Rasengan, while Minato does not. So on top of what Minato did being harder, the result was more impressive. This even follows Naruto into part 2. The only time Naruto is able to make a Rasengan with one hand is while he has the Kyuubi cloak on. Other than that, he is completely unable to do it. This is important as well because of the Rasenshuriken, which we'll talk about soon. But another important thing to mention is that I don't think it took Minato 3 or 4 years to create the Rasengan. I think it took him that long to, in Jiraiya's words, perfect the Rasengan. We saw in the Minato one-shot that Minato saw a Biju bomb one day, went to go report to Hiruzen about his mission the next day, and also completely formed a Rasengan that day with a little inspiration from Jiraiya handing him a popsicle. And we know it's not perfected here either. Jiraiya says that Minato had completed the first stage in making a new jutsu. You can also just kind of tell the Rasengan, while it did take form, isn't as stable as it would later become. You can see it blowing all around them with wind streaks coming off of it, but Minato's Rasengan do not do this ever in the original series. I realize you could probably chalk that up to an artist choice for Kishimoto to show off how cool the first Rasengan looked, but not only does it appear the same way when he's about to clash with Kurama a few pages later, I think in combination with the other stuff I mentioned, it's pretty clear, and to wrap up my point here, that Minato developed the Rasengan extremely quickly, likely within a day, and it took him a few years to perfect the jutsu. Just to add on here quickly before moving on, Kushina, after seeing the Rasengan, asks if Minato is still trying to hone it, and Minato says it's a jutsu he's crafting to protect her, or in other words, still in the process of making. If you want to say, well, the Rasengan looks the same, so what else about it could be changing? The same could be said for the Rasenshuriken, which is another jutsu that's stated to be incomplete, but doesn't change in looks when Naruto does master it. This argument doesn't come without its pros for Naruto, however. If we are to believe that the swirling chakra around Minato's Rasengan is a sign of it not being complete, then that would mean the Rasengan Naruto made was a bit further along since those aren't present. But we're talking about the difference in Kishimoto's art from 2005 to 2023. You can hardly say his art style is the same, so maybe it's not the best to use art as an argument. But let's finalize here so we can wrap up this section and move on to the next comparison. Minato creates the jutsu within a day and 3 years to perfect it. Naruto takes a week to learn the jutsu, even with the steps laid out for him, but then takes an additional 3 to 4 years to be able to use it with one hand, which would be around the end of the war arc. I think it's pretty easy to conclude Minato is more impressive here. The argument that Naruto learned it in a week and it took Minato 3 years is absurd, not true, and disingenuous. Next, I want to talk about Naruto's progression through the time skip. I've done a more in-depth video on this in the past that you can go look at, but I want to highlight how extremely lackluster Naruto here is compared to Sasuke. I think this is a fair comparison for a multitude of reasons, one being that they are both training with Sannin, and at that they are both training with shinobi of equal caliber, and they started at the same time. Even despite this, Sasuke completely outclasses Naruto to the point that even with the Rasenshuriken, they still think Naruto is behind Sasuke before he even absorbed Orochimaru. To add insult to injury, while using 3 tails worth of Kurama's chakra, Orochimaru comments that Naruto and Sasuke are not even in the same league, which is insane because Naruto was on Sasuke's Curse Mark 2 level with his one-tailed cloak just 2 or 3 years ago. Sasuke's growth is so insane, Tsunade and Sakura theorize he's been using performance-enhancing drugs in order to grow in strength quicker, which I've seen be used against Sasuke, but keep in mind, this is just speculation on Tsunade's end. This is never confirmed to be the case at all. The idea of these drugs that boost potential never even show up again, it's possible Tsunade simply thought Orochimaru had developed something that allows this, not even that they are a real thing within the verse. It's not far-fetched considering the existence of military ration pills and the red, yellow, and green pills that Choji's family uses. Nevertheless, and I don't want to keep saying it, most people know Sasuke is more of a genius than Naruto. Just to quickly add one last thing, after seeing Sasuke take down 1000 shinobi, all while leaving them alive and not getting a single drop of blood on himself, Orochimaru says about Sasuke word for word, "They called me a genius, but compared to him," and Orochimaru is the guy hears and thought was a genius that only showed up once every few decades. Now, there are only a couple more things that I actually want to go over. I think most obviously the next one to cover would be the Rasenshuriken. The Rasenshuriken is the bread and butter of the people who think Naruto is a genius. The reasoning follows a similar line of logic to the Rasengan comparison between Naruto and Minato that I went over earlier. The argument is as follows. Naruto combined a nature into the Rasengan, while Minato and Kakashi could not do that. And there are a lot of things I want to clear up here, and this argument is extremely lacking in context, but the base of it is true. Naruto did something Minato and Kakashi were not able to do, and that should be praised but for a different reason. And on top of that, he did this while also having access to something they couldn't do, that being his ability to make a ridiculous amount of clones. Not to send you guys into the 6 multiverse of videos again, but I cover this much more in depth in my video I made on how much chakra Naruto has, which you can watch by clicking above. But Kakashi and Minato do not have access to the amount of chakra that Naruto does in order to make so many clones and pack literal years of training into just a few weeks. Also, this wasn't Naruto's idea, this was Kakashi's idea for Naruto to train like this, while he's specifically thinking of ways that Naruto could get stronger. One thing I'd like to propose is the question of how long Minato and Kakashi even tried to obtain the stronger variant of the Rasengan. Because, for one, contrary to popular belief, Kakashi never says the Chidori is a failed Rasengan. He says he was unable to add lightning release to the Rasengan, so he made the Chidori. Those are two different claims. It doesn't make any sense anyway. The Chidori requires hand signs and the Rasengan doesn't. But Kakashi learned the Rasengan before he was even 9 years old. Sorry again for all the plugs, but they're the last one, I swear. I go over his age in my video about his addiction, again, link above. The way he speaks to Naruto here, it sounds like he kind of gave up on combining the Rasengan with the chakra nature and went with the Chidori instead. And aside from that, it's not like Naruto had ever seen him use a Rasengan, so he can't use it that often. Minato is a bit more complicated because we don't have the same implication for him, but he tried to add the nature to it at some point and he either gave up or never figured it out. But I just think it's weird how there are those unknown factors, yet people still conclude Naruto is a genius for doing it when they could not. And let's keep stacking context onto here. How did Naruto actually complete this? He did it the same way he learned how to use the Rasengan in the end. He has another clone come in to add the chakra nature to it on what Kakashi calls the natural progression. Now, it's great that Naruto learned how to do this, like I mentioned earlier, but the method he used to figure it out is the same one he used when he was 12. I'm basically saying this should have clicked in his head earlier. It's the exact same solution. Naruto needs to add another step to the Rasengan, so adding a clone when he couldn't get that step done should have been something he figured out way faster. And this next point here is more of a nitpick, but he didn't even figure this one out himself. Kakashi basically gave him the answer after Naruto asked him a question, but even geniuses can get inspiration from things, so it's not that bad. This next part, however, is not a nitpick. Kakashi says this method of doing the Rasengan that way would not work for him or Minato. This is why Naruto should be praised, not for his genius, but for his creativity and his insane chakra supply that he can do things like this. If I can make an example, you could have two painters of similar skill, but if you gave one painter 500 colors to paint with and the other only 2, one picture is likely to be prettier because the other painter has more ideas he can bring to life. There's no reason for Kakashi or Minato to even consider being able to do this, while for Naruto, it's kind of like the next obvious step. That doesn't change the fact that it's similar to his learning of the Rasengan, like I've said repeatedly. He needs these clones to be able to do this jutsu, and this continues even later into the war arc. But when Naruto has his KCM cloak, he can use the Rasengan by using the extra arms to help for the chakra in place of the clone. So in conclusion, Naruto is impressive for adding the chakra nature to the Rasengan. Yes, he's impressive, of course it's impressive, it's just not the result of genius. The last thing I want to bring up that's a direct comparison anyway is Naruto being able to use Sage Mode, and more specifically the time frame in which he was able to become a full Sage. By now I think I've already made a pretty compelling case for Naruto not being a genius, but this is still one of the things you have to bring up when entering the combo just to make it fair. Unlike the last two examples where there was sort of context for the accomplishment and how Naruto achieved it, what Naruto did here just directly puts both Minato and Jiraiya to shame. I don't want to act like I think Jiraiya is some genius, but Jiraiya is stated to be one of the best at using Sage Mode, and Naruto just dogs him in this category. Minato in particular is stated to not be good at it, at least in his own opinion, because it takes him too long to gather up the Sage Chakra and he doesn't use it that much in combat. Although it is unknown how long it took Minato to actually learn Sage Mode, and given his attitude towards it, it doesn't sound like he worked at it too much after learning it, more like he learned it and never thought he was good enough at it to learn how to use it in a combat scenario. But I'm also wondering when in his life he actually learned it. I suppose it's possible he could have learned it at any point in time for all we know. He could have had learned it a week before he died and never had time to actually hone it and get better at it. But regardless, Naruto has a Sage mode that's better than Minato's and Jiraiya, and he got it extremely quickly. I don't know if it was faster than Minato, but it was definitely faster than Jiraiya. That being said, I don't know how much you can call Naruto a genius for this, because while it is true that Naruto learned it quickly and surpassed both of them in terms of using it, not a lot of people actually have the capacity to even learn Sage mode. You need a large chakra supply to even attempt to use the mode, and if that's the case, it was probably made even easier for Naruto because he has a way larger supply than either Minato or Jiraiya. On top of that, Naruto does have a fast recovery rate, so he's able to train a lot more than either of them should be able to. So while I think it's impressive Naruto learned Sage mode that surpassed him so quickly, I just don't know exactly how impressive it is, and I certainly don't know if it's enough to say that because of this, Naruto is a genius, especially with the added context that to even attempt the training, you need a super large chakra supply. Sorry for the anticlimactic conclusion on that one, but I'm being truthful, but all the information is there for you to form your own conclusion if you don't like mine. I do want to touch on just a few more miscellaneous things before I end off the video. They're mostly just some one-off statements made during the war that someone brought to my attention on Twitter a while back. Tobirama says that Naruto is able to grasp how to use the flying Raijin with him quickly and use Sage mode to say it feels like he's fighting with Hashirama again, but this doesn't even comment on Naruto being a genius. This is, and I kid you not, just Tobirama saying fighting with Naruto feels like fighting with Hashirama. Hashirama is never praised for his battle IQ or anything, so there is nothing there. Tobirama also comments Naruto and Sasuke combine chakra with matching ratios, and that's difficult even for a seasoned duo, but Naruto and Sasuke are extremely skilled, we all know that. And Minato says he thinks Naruto is just as accomplished as Sasuke, but Minato has been with Naruto for like 5 minutes at this point, and I also don't think this is a claim on Naruto being a genius. It's just a smart move that Naruto made. But I think I've made myself fairly clear. If you do think Naruto is a genius, you're more than welcome to comment on why down below. But other than that, if you like the video, be sure to leave a like on it and consider subscribing to the channel. Other than that, have a nice day.